Game week 34, and it's wildcard time.
Captain's Pick, the FPL Podcast.
Hello, and welcome on board flight episode 31 of Captain's Pick, the FPL Podcast. This is your captain and host speaking, Geoff at Willis, and each week I'll be taking flight to talk fantasy Premier League football. You can find the show on a whole host of podcast services. Just search Captain's Pick. Please leave a review, like, share and subscribe. On today's very quick show, I'll give a very quick review of my Game Week 33, discuss my wildcard selections which are ongoing right up until the deadline, and my leftover chip strategy and my Captain's Pick, and I'll finish off with the quickest of previews of Game Week 34. But first, as ever, quick shout out to the half-season community league, which started scoring back in Game Week 20 and was set up to raise money and awareness for Cancer Research UK. And the top 10 has got so narrow now. Literally, there is 39 points covering the top 10 places. Mark Downey, who was in first place for the last few weeks, had a poor game week, only got 44 points, so he's down to fourth now. We've got Carl Goal, he's went from second place to third place. In at 2 we've got Shanojan Jegathisawanran, and in first place, who was in the top 5 last week, Tom Dunn-Massey, who got a great 77 points last week and is in first place this week. So quickly then, looking back on Game Week 33, I ended up getting 69 points, which was fantastic. Game Week rank of 300k, and that left me on overall points 1881, and I had about an 80k rise up the rankings, so I'm now at 238k, so it's exactly what I was looking for in this game week. My chip strategy of sort of dead ending up to game week 34 has worked out really nicely. So the two blanks, so I had players playing in both of those, and my free hit last week obviously going really well too. So my points coming from Dina, who got a clean sheet, 8 points from him. That's going to be his last game for me. He's served me well actually. Had him for half the season now. So tricky fixtures coming for Everton coming up. So he's gone, but nice way to sign off. Likewise with Wan-Bissaka, 7 points coming from him. Again, he's gone in the wild card, but nice signing off from him. Likewise, Hazard, 16 points from him. Excellent performance. Gone in my wild card, and probably gone from my FPL team potentially forever. So thanks, good signing off from him. Salah got his goal in the end, so got me 12 points because I had the captain's armband on him. Looks like a tiniest of mistakes could have gone on Hazard, or could have gone on Vardy, who both brought in bigger hauls. So could have got me an extra 10 points had I changed the captaincy, but there we are, Celavi. Mane just a 1 point, Fraser 2 points, that was my 1 week punt. In the end, should have probably gone Maddison or Tillemans, would have got me an extra few points there, but was just a 1 week punt. Vardy, as I mentioned, getting that 16 points, would have been nice to get the captaincy on him, but wasn't really in my thinking. It was either going to be Salah or Hazard, so got that 50-50 call wrong, but glad to have the points from Vardy there. And then blanks from Rondon and Wilson, Robertson and Fabianski. So that was my game week 33. But on quickly now to game week 34, my wild card. Wanted to record this podcast after getting all the press conference information, any last minute injury news, all that sort of thing. So literally probably be about an hour before the deadline that this podcast goes up. But it'll be really quick. So have a quick listen, and hopefully there'll be some last minute information in there. So as it stands, my game week 34 wildcard squad looks like this. So I have Gunn and Foster as my two goalkeepers. Gunn of Southampton, they've got double game week fixture next week, and then some pretty good fixtures to finish the season. Foster's got the double game week next week, so that's why he's in there of Watford. Then my all my defence. I've kept Robertson. Got so much money tied up with him. He's been brilliant this season. Can see him doing really well towards the end of the season. I've doubled up on Brighton, so I've got Dunk and Duffy, who've got a double next. So they've got 4 games in 2 game weeks. They may not be great at the back, but this is why you play the game. You've got to try and go for the most points possible. I just think there could be tons of points coming from them, or literally it could be 4 points each. But there we are. You've got to go for these things sometimes. I've kept Doty, had some money tied up with him. Again, scored in the FA Cup the other day, so I think he's in good form. Could be a good player for the end of the season. And Bednarek of Southampton stays. Constant performer, always playing for Southampton. He's so cheap, so just kept him in there. Completing my Southampton triple up actually is James Ward-Prowse in midfield. Again, Southampton got a good double game week fixtures next week in game week 35 and a good end of season run, so he's in. I've got Deulofeu in at the moment. He's yellow flagged, but he is in for Watford's double game week next week. Little bit of a risk there, but I was never going to play him in my starting 11 this game week. But wanted to just get him in there because there's a couple of other transfers I want to make next week. My 3 big hitters at the moment in midfield: Kevin De Bruyne looks, I think, like he's going to start quite a lot of the league games between now and the end of the season. He looked at quality last game week, so I fancied him to do well, and I think he'll get the most starts out of that City midfield. I've got Son in my team. Obviously, the biggest news this week was Kane getting injured, and that really ripped up my team and sort of had to start again, to be honest. Son was in and out of my team when I had Kane, but he's definitely in the team now. And he is alongside Eriksen, who's a bit of a 1 week punt this week. They've obviously got Huddersfield at home. I do want to bring a Liverpool midfielder back in. Probably going to go Salah because I've got enough money to do so. Liverpool have got Chelsea this weekend, so I'm hoping they're not going to really score too many goals there, as a Chelsea supporter as well. So I've gone Eriksen, but I'd probably be transferring him out for Salah next game week because Liverpool have Cardiff and then they have Huddersfield the week after. So that's my provisional plan with him. Up front, I couldn't get rid of Vardy. He's just been in such great form recently. Home game to Newcastle this week. Had to keep him in. He's the second transfer I'm thinking of making next game week, which I know it's a little bit of a gamble planning transfers for the next game week, as there could be injuries and all that sort of thing. But that's my provisional plan, to transfer him out for Jimenez, and that will give me that extra bit of money I need to upgrade Eriksen to Salah. But Vardy's in for this week. I've brought in Aguero. I didn't think he was going to start against Crystal Palace, but he came off of 25 minutes to play in the Champions League game against Spurs. So I think he probably will start, and I just wanted him for the rest of the season, especially with Kane out. He's kind of really just come in to replace Kane. I was up for having Kane for the rest of the season and no Aguero, but I've just had to bring in Aguero. I need that big star striker up front. And Wilson has stayed in my team. Many wouldn't keep him in, I'm sure. Bournemouth do look like they're on their summer holidays. But with a game Brighton, and then obviously he's got a home game against Fulham. That really is a plum game. And their fixtures aren't too bad towards the end of the season. So he stays at the moment. I just He's a single game week player, but sometimes you can just get rid of everyone and a lot of players come back to haunt you, which may happen in the case I've got rid of Dina of Everton. That could come back to haunt me a little bit. Fraser, got rid of him. He was a 1 week punt, but could see him doing well against Brighton and good against Fulham. But this squad should hopefully take me all the way to game week 38 with a couple of transfers here and there. As I said, Salah and Jimenez probably coming in for Vardy and Eriksen in game week 35. But that's my current thinking. Only, as I say, a couple of hours before the deadline, probably be an hour by the time I get this up. So I can't see me making too many changes to this. So that looks to be my game week 34 wildcard. In terms of my chip strategy, so this will set up nicely for the bench boost in game week 35. I'll have, if I bring in Salah and Jimenez for Eriksen and Vardy in game week 35, I'll have 9 players who will have double game weeks in game week 35 where I'll be bench boosting. So I think that's I'm really happy. Well, actually, it's more than 9. Sorry, that would be 1, 2, 3, 12. Sorry, 11 players with double game weeks out of my 15, because I'm bench boosting. So that's set up really. This wildcard set up for this game week, the bench boosting game week 35. Then probably triple captain on Salah, who's at home to Huddersfield in game week 36. I'll look to save a transfer in there somewhere. So hopefully that will end up me having a double, 2 free transfers going into game weeks 37 and 38, which I'll probably look to get some Man United players who've got a great last 2 games of the season. So that's my strategy going forward. My captaincy is currently on Son. Huddersfield are dead and buried. I just see Spurs scoring quite a bit. It would have been on Kane, so obviously there was something in there. So I've just switched it to Son. Other options obviously could be Vardy, home to Newcastle. Aguero, obviously always pretty decent captain option. I'd only going Son just because I think there's an outside chance of Aguero not starting or certainly getting reduced minutes. So that's why I've gone Son with the vice captaincy on Vardy. And then looking at the rest of the fixtures then in game week 34, Newcastle Leicester, that will be kicking off in a few hours. Glad to have Vardy in that. Hopefully signs off in my team in style. Spurs at home to Huddersfield in the Saturday lunchtime kickoff. Son and Eriksen to go mad with the points in that would be great. Brighton at home to Bournemouth, the first of their double game weeks. I'll take Wilson not scoring to get the double clean sheets from Duff and Dunk. But I've got a bit of insurance of having Wilson there. Hopefully, if Bournemouth do score, it is Wilson. Then Southampton at home to Wolves. Obviously, Southampton keeper. I've not got Jimenez in my side this week, so I'm hoping Southampton do keep a clean sheet. A nice 0-0 draw there would be great with Doherty at the back for me. The evening game on Saturday, Man United at home to West Ham, which is a plum fixture for Man United, but I just couldn't fit in any of their players. Too much rotation, risk and form. It is a good match for them, but I don't like their double they have in game week 35. And so I just didn't know who to pick from them, so I just stayed away. Sunday's games, Man City away at the Palace. Obviously got KDB and Aguero, so hopefully they fire for me. No Palace defenders anymore, so I don't mind them conceding quite a bit. Then it's Liverpool at home to Chelsea. I'll just have Robertson in that game. I'll be happy for a 0-0 draw. As a Chelsea supporter, I think if we went up there and got a point, I'd actually be really happy with that. I'd love a win, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. So I'll take a Robertson clean sheet there, and just hoping that Salah or Mane don't go big and score lots, because I don't have any Liverpool attacking players. And then Monday's game, Watford at home to Arsenal. I'll have Deulofeu on the bench, so he'll probably not come on, and I'm not sure he'll start anyways because he is yellow flagged. Arsenal could do well in this match, but I wonder if they'll have a little bit of a European hangover still. Lots of rotation coming from them, so that's why I've stayed away from Arsenal. And then on Tuesday is Brighton's second fixture at home to Cardiff. If they didn't keep a clean sheet against Bournemouth, then there's a bigger chance of a clean sheet there. Cardiff are not great going forward, especially away from home. Might be fighting for their lives, but Brighton still definitely want to get some points in the bag just to be safe from relegation. So looking for good scores from Dunk and Duffy. Okay, well, I think in this very quick show, that's where I'm going to land the show. A reminder that the game week 34 deadline is tonight, 7 p.m. Hope getting this up as quick as I can, but hopefully it'll be about an hour before the deadline. Feel free to send in any questions or topics you'd like discussed on the show to either the podcast Twitter account at captainspickpod or the podcast email address captainspickpod@gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening to this in-flight podcast. I have been your captain. Good luck with game week 34, and until next time, it's been my pleasure to talk with you.
Captain's Pick, the FPL Podcast.